So Simon, it's great to have you back so soon after your recent triumphs in Wagner.
Thanks, Greg.
As Alberich,
Yes.
where you had a very well-deserved and resounding success. Now, it's a bit of a change of speed almost, isn't it, to move into this big middle Verdi masterpiece. Have you sung Macbeth before?
I have actually sung it once before when I was living in London a few years ago now, but there was a small regional town were doing a performance. They needed a Macbeth, and it happened to be actually young Australian director Greg Eldridge was directing, and Greg approached me and the dates worked, and I thought, well, why not? It was my first Verdi, and probably still is actually my only first big Verdi role that I've done. And it just seemed to fit like a glove, but because it was a regional English town, they wanted it in English. I thought, fine. So hence I've done it, but only in English. So this will be the first time I've done it.
It's entirely different in Italian, isn't it?
Oh,
it's so
completely different.
So written to the text.
Oh, very much so. And I've really had to, as the singers say, relearn it. Yeah. Really. I mean, yes, I knew the music, but there was some familiarity there, of course, but it is a completely different kettle of fish.
And how did you find, speaking of different kettles of fish, how did you find switching from Alberich, which we were very lucky to get on straight after the pandemic, and before a little tiny lockdown, into pretty quickly actually now into being able to do Macbeth? How have you found that switch?
Look, the switch, it wasn't, I mean, there was a little bit of time. I think we ended, end of February, so, and then we started rehearsals for this in April. I had another project with Victorian Opera as well, so that was, and that was a lot smaller, the role was a lot smaller, so that probably helped, not jumping straight into another big role as such. So it meant I was still singing, but not singing a huge role. So it kept me match fit, I'll say that. But it's interesting to say that the change in languages from German, and then I was obviously in English for the Victorian Opera, to Italian. So you went through the full gamut there. I just need something in French next. But no, not too quickly.
Not yet.
But it is a tricky one. I remember working with wonderful vocal coach Tony Legg, of course, who was he's vocal coach extraordinaire, not just with Opera Australia, but many companies over the world. He's in demand. He wrote that book, of course, on vocal pedagogy. So, and Tony often said to me, he said, the change between German to Italian is always a tricky one. He said, not impossible, but you've just got to be on your game. So and for me, obviously relearning Macbeth from having done it in English into Italian, it was probably a bit of a blessing in disguise, because it meant that I had to sit down, but I also wasn't doing it one night after another. There's a great story that my teacher, Tony Roden, told me about Norman Bailey, great British baritone.
Came to Australia, sang wonderful hand sax, wonderful Flying Dutchman.
Certainly did. Well, this is a guy who had chords of steel. There was a great story where one night he was at the Coliseum singing at English National Opera in a matinee performance of Flying Dutchman, having done the Dutchman. And they got the call because Covent Garden were doing a performance of Die Walküre that night, and their Wotan had suddenly gone down. And the call had been made, and they rang the Coliseum and said, look, is Norman still there? Yeah, he is. And put Norman on and said, look, we're in real trouble. We don't have a Wotan. We've rung around. He said, oh yeah, look, don't worry, I'll jump in a cab, because our Walküre Wotan doesn't start till the second act. The act one's a pretty long act. So takes the cab cross town from the Collie to Covent Garden, and then goes on to sing Wotan after singing the Dutchman in the afternoon.
From English to German too.
Well, yeah, exactly. So there's a swap in language there. But then I was asking when I told Tony Legg about this story, because I was thinking, really, is that true? With my teacher Tony, I thought, oh yeah, he loves a good story. And Tony Legg said to me, he said, absolutely, it was true. But the one thing about Norman Bailey always had difficulty was the swap between German to Italian. So he said it's not, it's always difficult, even some of the best singers. And he's always been one of my favourites. But you just have to sit down and go through it just bit by bit, just to make sure that it's still, I mean, it was obviously familiar to me, the music, having done it in English, but the Italian, as you said, it's completely different.
It's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
Now, we've managed to get a great supporting cast for you, Simon.
Oh, yes. Helena Dix is not a bad supporting cast, isn't it? I don't mean that, Helena. Of course, I'm supporting you.
All right, I'll say the same to her, don't worry.
Absolutely.
But one of the interesting things about this production is Verdi came to it a bit over his career. He had a big success when it started in, I think it was 1843.
47.
47
it was, yeah.
And then came back to it and reworked it extensively, actually, for Paris.
That's right. 1865, I think
1865.
It was,
Dropped put the ballet in, dropped a few numbers, put in a couple of great numbers for Lady Macbeth, but unfortunately dropped Macbeth's death aria.
Yes.
And so we've tracked it down. This is from the 1847 performances, and popped it back in, which you're one of the few singers I know who's asked for yet another aria.
Well, she's got 3, so why can't I get exactly that?
Particularly after that wonderful Per Pietà, the big aria of
exactly.
wonderful bel canto almost aria, beautiful Verdi aria.
Yes.
You then get severely wounded and have a really short but effective death aria. So we're very pleased we were able to track that down for you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's as Bruce Beresford, our director, said, it gives him a stronger ending.
Yeah,
it just
really
rather
does.
than an offstage ending as what happened when he decided to drop that aria, which was, look, Verdi, of course, is an amazing composer, and I often wonder, wow, I don't know why he dropped that, because it is such a powerful piece. Only a couple of minutes, but it just gives him more gravitas as a character, and the death is stronger. He's a strong character,
and it seems to be used a lot now in productions of Macbeth.
It is coming back into vogue.
Not that there's lots of productions of Macbeth, because it is hard to cast, but we're fortunate in having put it together once again with all Melbourne singers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even though Helena's flown in, but she's a Melbourne girl, and you're certainly very strongly based here.
Yes.
So we're very fortunate to have such a good group of singers to be able to put these big shows on.
Absolutely.
Well, we're really looking forward to it, Simon. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Greg. Cheers. Pleasure to chat.
Thank you.